This video is brought to you by FastPixel. If you're new to WordPress or you just want a refresher because of all the changes that have happened recently, then this video is for you. In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to get you up to speed with using WordPress. And later in this video, I'm going to show you how to install plugins. FastPixel, which is the sponsor for this video, is a plugin you will want to install. FastPixel is the best accelerator and caching plugin for WordPress. The best part is you can boost your website performance in just a few clicks, no tech skills required. FastPixel runs in the cloud, optimizes and caches your images and website code, and gives you access to a global CDN. Why juggle multiple plugins for caching, image optimization, and performance tweaks? FastPixel does it all in one simple, powerful solution. You install it, set it up in seconds, and let it run on autopilot. So if you want a faster, smoother, and better optimized WordPress site, I encourage you to try FastPixel today and experience the difference. And if you want a smoother and more fun WordPress experience, then keep watching this video. By the end of this video, you're not going to be designing websites yet, but you're going to be able to use WordPress and know where everything is and how everything works. So you'll be able to easily use a website that's already been built with WordPress, including what all the menu items on the left sidebar do, where to find the blog comments and how to respond to them so you can engage with people who are visiting your site, how to add and or use plugins and themes, how to use the customizer, and much more. So if you're ready to get your hands dirty and dig into WordPress, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Before you can build a website or take ownership of a website that someone created for you, you need to have a hosting account. The hosting service provider I use quite often is called Siteground. This is the landing page that they created for me and my audience. You can see WPLearningLab right up here, my logo over here. And if you come to this page and get Siteground through this page, you get 80% off of the first 12 months of your hosting. And I believe it's 50% off if you go for 2 years. And you get a free domain. So if you want to check that out, feel free to. It's going to give you a quick overview before we hop into a WordPress site to see how to manage it. But if you come to this page, go to WordPress Hosting, click on View Plans, and you'll see the options right over here. When you're just starting out, Startup is the way to go. Click on Get Plan. Down here, you can choose to go for 12 months or 24 months. The price will change depending on which one you choose, but it's still a major discount from what it's going to renew at, which is $18 a month. So if you go for 24 months, it'll be $17.50 a month. If you go for 12 months, it's going to be $2.99 a month for the first 12 months. And after 12 months, you really have an idea whether you're going to keep this website or not. But if you already know for sure you're going to keep the website, I'd say go for 24 to lock in a lower price for a longer time because it will renew at this price. And there's really not much you can do about that. So once you have your Siteground account set up or a different hosting account, you'll get emails with login information and you log into your account and Siteground looks like this. Other hosting providers will look a little bit different, but they all kind of have the same stuff. So if in Siteground, if I click on websites, you're going to see a list of the websites that we have installed on Siteground. And all the ones that don't have WordPress admin beside it don't have a WordPress site installed there yet. But for example, this one right here, let's build with WP. If I click on Site Tools, if it didn't have WordPress admin beside it, didn't have a WordPress site installed there yet, I'll show you how to do it really easily. You just click on Install and Manage WordPress. In our case, it would be Install because there wouldn't be a site there yet. The two options we have here are WordPress or WordPress plus WooCommerce. If you want to have an e-commerce store, you don't have to have that installed right from the beginning. Click on Select for whatever option you want. I'm just going to choose WordPress. These first three options, don't change those. Here, add a username, like for example, your email address. Add a password for the website. Add an email. In fact, the username, I'll make it even simpler. Just my name. But you can have the username be pretty much whatever you want, as long as it's numbers, letters, capital letters, and some special characters like @ will work. You can choose to install WordPress Starter, which is a Siteground specific plugin. This would only appear on Siteground, but if you are on a different host, you wouldn't have this option. I'm going to uncheck it. Now, if I click Install, it's going to install WordPress on this domain name. Only takes about a minute or two. And then once you have that installed, you're going to be able to go to the website. It's going to look different than this, but it's going to be a website accessible on the internet at your domain name. And then you can go ahead and log into that site with the credentials that you entered right here. So if I go to wp-admin or wplogin.php, it will take us to a login form. This is where we enter our login details. Then we click on login, and it's going to take us into the website dashboard. There's a lot of stuff going on right from the beginning. If you want to clean up your dashboard, you can click on these little arrows to minimize all these different sections. And it's going to remember that for the next time you log in. You can click on this X up here to dismiss that welcome to WordPress. You can also choose screen options. And let's say you don't want to have WordPress events and news on here. Uncheck that, uncheck duplicator, uncheck site health status, uncheck WooCommerce setup. So you can specify what you want to appear here and what you don't really easily. I'm just going to leave this as it is right here. And we're going to go through a bunch of the options on the left-hand side. Some of the ones that you see here, you're not going to have because I've got a bunch of plugins installed on this site that you won't have installed yet. Plugins sometimes add menu options like Spectra. Here added that. WooCommerce adds this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. In fact, that's a lot. Elementor adds these two. So there's going to be some that you have and some that you don't have. But I'm going to cover the ones that you're going to have for sure. So first there's posts. If we click into posts, you might have one post called Hello World. Let's click on add new post and just add that in. Publish that. This is pretty much all it would be. It's a demo post that every WordPress site has once it's first installed. And you can just trash it. Just hover over it, click on trash, and now it's in the trash bin. It's going to be in this trash bin for 30 days, unless you click on trash specifically and then hover over that post again and click on delete permanently. If you have lots of posts you want to delete, you could check this box here, go to bulk actions, choose either restore or delete permanently or copy. I'm going to choose delete permanently, then click on apply, and that will then delete all the posts that you had checked. If you check this box at the top, it would be all of them in the trash bin. And then after that, you're going to want to check out the pages on your site. You're just going to have two when you first install WordPress. One is called sample page, which you can trash just like we trash the Hello World page. And you're going to have a privacy policy page. That one you're going to want to keep and update it to whatever your privacy policy is going to be. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't tell you what that should look like, but you can either have your lawyer check it out and create a privacy policy page for you, or you can Google it, or there's some tools to help you create privacy policy pages as well. You want to make sure your privacy policy page is pretty solid though, so that you're complying with GDPR and other compliance laws. But once you have a privacy policy page and the content for it, you just click on edit on this page here. Then you can paste in the content and you're ready to rock and roll. On the comments tab, this is where you're going to manage all the comments that are left on your posts. When you first install WordPress, you might have one here, you might not. You can just delete that comment as well. It's associated with the Hello World post. So sometimes when you delete the post, it deletes the comment as well. So there might be one here, there might not be. But something you definitely want to do is reduce the number of spam comments you get, because there are spam bots that spam WordPress blogs all day long. And if you use Akismet, which is a free plugin and it's free for personal use, you'll be able to block the majority of spam comments. I'll link to a tutorial in the card up above and the description down below to help you install Akismet and get that running on your site. So make sure you do and then thank me later, because it's going to reduce your spam comments by a lot. So going through posts, pages, and comments, we've now deleted the demo data that's on our website. Now we're going to want to go down to our settings and general. On the general tab, you can set the site title, you can set the tagline, you can add your site icon, which is this little symbol that's up here. The WordPress address and site address you're going to leave as they are. Those are auto-filled. The administration email address is this one right here. You can change it if you want, but there is a bug with that. And there's a workaround to that. I'll link to that in the video up above as well, in the card up above, and I'll show you how to change this administration email address. Because sometimes when you have someone else build your site, they keep their email address as the administrator email address, and you might not want that. So yeah, I'll show you how to change that in the other video. For membership, this is generally not selected, and I'll tell you why. This leads to huge numbers of spam registrations. If we go back to our login page, I'll show you what happens. Go to our website and then /wp-login.php. We see we only have the option to log in, click on lost password, go to whatever the website name is, in this case macaroons, and privacy policy. But if I turn this on, save changes, and then come back out to the login page and refresh, we see we now have a register link. If I click on that register link, I can choose a username and an email address and register for the website. And there are automated bots that do this all day long, looking for WordPress sites, creating users, just like they look for WordPress sites to leave comments. So you're going to have huge numbers of users, spam users registering for your site, so I recommend you turn this off. And if you do want this turned on, please make sure that the new user default role is subscriber. Do not make it author or editor or administrator, heaven forbid. Keep it as subscriber. These other options, shop manager and customer, are from WooCommerce. These ones are from a backup plugin. So you're just going to have subscriber, contributor, author, editor, administrator by default. Leave it on subscriber. Enough said. Next, choose your site language. Choose your time zone. There's a huge number of time zones to choose from. I'm pretty sure all the time zones on the planet. So choose a time zone, choose a date format. It shows the example of what it'll look like right here. Choose a time format. Choose a day that your week starts on. These two you may or may not have depending on if you have the starter templates plugin installed. I'll show you what that is in just a minute. We're going to use that. Click on Save Changes once you've made all the changes you want. And that's the general settings. Then we also have the writing settings. In here, we can choose the default post category. By default, on every WordPress site when it's newly installed, uncategorized is the default category. That doesn't look very good. So you can easily go to posts and then categories. I'm Control or Command clicking to open that in a new tab. Then we can create a new category. For example, if you had a hockey blog, you can make a hockey category. Hockey for the slug. The slug is what will appear up in the address bar for this page. Click on Add New Category. Then come back to our writing settings and refresh this page. Then choose hockey as the category. Now every post you create is going to automatically be categorized into hockey, but then you can have other categories that you check that are more specific for that post if you need to, but at least the default isn't showing uncategorized, because uncategorized is not a good look. Everything else on this page, I would keep as it is. These options are added on because of a plugin that I have. You're not going to see this by default, but there's a plugin that allows you to switch from the block editor, which is the newest way to build with WordPress, to the old classic editor, which is the old way. I prefer to use the new way, but you can install that plugin and go back to the old way if you wanted. Click on Save Changes once you made all the changes you want to in there. Then we head over to Reading. On the Reading tab, by default, your website will say your latest posts. This is going to be what's selected. If you have a homepage built or someone's built a homepage for you, you're going to want to choose a static page and then choose the correct page from the list of all your pages here. In my case, it's called Home. And then on the blog page is where the blog posts are going to go. If you have this selected, the blog posts just appear on the home page. And all these options here, I'd leave as is. Make sure this is unchecked. If this is checked, you're not going to get much traffic from search engines. So make sure that's unchecked. Then click on Save Changes if you made any. And then next we have Discussion and Media. Both of those, just leave them as they are. Don't worry about those at the moment. Or ever, really. Let's go to permalinks. If you want to set yourself up for success with SEO, make sure you have post name selected as your permalink structure. And then come down, click Save. That's the only thing you have to do on this page. In fact, a lot of these options you won't have, like all of these, unless you have WooCommerce installed. Even these ones down here. And that's all we have to worry about for the settings. Something very important you might have noticed is this little circle with the 8 in it. This is plugin updates that are available. So let's talk about plugins and plugin updates. If you click on plugins, it's going to show all the plugins installed on your site. When you first install WordPress, you're going to have two. One's called Hello Dolly. You can delete that right away by just clicking delete. And the other one is called Akismet, which you can set up according to the tutorial I referenced earlier if you want some spam protection on your website. And then once you have plugins installed for a certain amount of time, you're going to have these notifications that say there's a new version and click Update Now. You might be tempted on the right-hand side to enable auto updates. I recommend you don't because sometimes plugin updates can break your site. So what I usually do, just to be as safe as possible, I go into my hosting account. Because I'm with Siteground, under security and backups, it stores 30 days worth of backups. So we see the most recent one was today at 3:43 a.m. and the oldest one was 30 days ago. Tomorrow, this one will be deleted and we'll have one for April 2nd. And then every day there's a new one made and an old one deleted. You can make manual backups as well. So if you have to update a bunch of plugins or even install a bunch of plugins, you can come in here, type in before I updated plugins, maybe even add the date, April 1, 2025. Click on create. It's going to create a backup for that day, for that exact time that day. So if something goes wrong with the updates, you can revert back to it. And if you're tempted to click on enable auto updates, if you don't have, or if you're not visiting your site every day, you might not see any problems occurring when a plugin breaks something, which isn't common, but it does happen sometimes. So if you have a problem and you're not on your site for 7 days, you don't even see it till 7 days later, you're going to have to come into Site Tools, go back to whatever day you think maybe the problem occurred, click on here, restore all files and databases to restore the site back to the version from this day. Check your site to see if that problem's fixed. If that didn't fix it, go back a little further, try it again. And then if it's more than 30 days ago that your site was broken by the plugin update, Siteground's not going to have a backup for you. So there's that to consider. You can get around that by using other plugins for backups. If you want extra redundancy, extra protection, you can use a plugin like WP Vivid right over here. I have a full walkthrough for this plugin. I'll link to that in the description down below and the card up above. And it will allow you to do scheduled backups off-site, unlimited. I use Google Drive to store my backups, and I have at least a year's worth usually in there. And every day, WP Vivid does a backup, puts it on Google Drive, then I can revert back to it if I need to, which is far beyond the 30 days Siteground gives you. But if you're more involved with the day-to-day operation of your website, you probably don't have to do that because you will see it within a day or two if something went wrong, and you'll be able to revert back inside of Siteground. When you're ready to update plugins, click on this tab right here, this link right here. It's going to show all the plugins that have updates available, and just those ones. Then you can click on here. It selects all of them, and then click on update, and then click apply. Now it's going to go through and update all the plugins. Usually Elementor has a problem when I do it this way. I don't know why. So it might not update Elementor, and the process might stop and break right there. Then I'll have to come back and do it without Elementor Pro. Usually it's the Pro one. That's a problem. There, see? So that didn't work, and now it stopped the update process for all these. So I'm just going to refresh, reload that page. Now we have 5 updates available. Elementor Pro's not on here, so maybe we did update? I don't know, that's weird. I'm going to select all these again, click on update and apply, and just make sure all the plugins are up to date. After they're all updated, that one didn't work either. After they're all updated, you also click the update now link manually, and that usually works. But after they're all updated, you want to go and test your site to make sure it works. And if something went wrong, you can come back into here and revert back to the backup you made just before you updated the plugins, which is really handy. It's a really smart move. So I encourage you to do that anytime you're making any kind of changes on your website. And there's Elementor Pro again, back on that list. Let's not worry about these plugin updates for now. Let's head into our themes. You're going to want to know about themes. If you have this site created by someone else, you probably already have a theme installed and all developed for you. If not, I encourage you to use Astra. It's one of my favorite ones. Any WordPress themes like 2025, you can actually delete those. I'll show you how in a little bit. But first you want to add a new one. So we click on Add New Theme, and there are thousands of free themes inside the WordPress repository. And then you look up Astra. It's usually number 1 on the popular. You probably saw it in the top left here. This is it right here. Install it, activate it, and now your site has a theme, which is Astra in this case. And then you might want to install the starter plugins, or the starter websites, for Astra. There's a call to action to install that plugin when you install Astra. If you didn't see that call to action, you can go to plugins and then add new plugin, and then look up starter themes or starter templates. And there it is right there. That's the one you want. It's made by Brainstorm Force, which is the same people behind the Astra theme. They create a whole bunch of other plugins as well. And that adds a new option under Appearance called Starter Templates. right there. Before we get to that, I said I'd show you what to do with the WordPress themes. So let's click on themes again to see all the installed themes on the site. Astra is activated, it's right there. 2025 is a WordPress theme. 2024 is a WordPress theme. They're named after the years. Every year there's a new one, but they're not needed unless you're using them. So I usually click on them, click on delete down here, and OK, and delete them from the website. If you need them again for some reason, you can just go to add new theme and install them again. But you don't want to have extra stuff on your site because it takes up space and it can add vulnerabilities. This Nurko theme I was playing around with, let's delete that too. And now we just have Astra. There's an update available. We can click on update now. That will update the theme for us. This is something you'd also want to back up the site for first in Siteground, or whatever hosting account or whatever plugin you have for backups. Do a backup first and then make all these updates. And now that we have all that cleaned up, let's go to starter templates right down here. There are lots of templates that Astra provides. I'm going to choose classic starter templates from the right. I'm going to choose Block Editor. You can also choose Elementor. You used to be able to choose Beaver Builder as well. Maybe you still can. Just my plugins that I have installed doesn't have that here because I don't have Beaver Builder installed. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go to the Block Editor. Might take a few minutes to sync the template library. I'll just pause this video while it does this. There we go. It's all synced or sunk, whatever you want to call it. Here we have a list of all the themes available for these starter templates. Some of them are listed as premium, which means you have to pay for them, or pay for an Astra Brainstorm Force membership, and then starter templates are sometimes with that, depending which plan you go with. Anyway, you don't have to worry about that. There's lots of free options available that look really good. So all the ones that don't have premium on them are free. And there's lots. Let's choose this one right here. When you choose a starter template, you can upload your logo file by clicking here, and then you can upload it by dragging and dropping, and then you can just pick it. Like that one, for example, click on select, and then it's going to have that as the logo. You can change the font pairing. It updates in real time on the right-hand side as you're choosing these different font pairings. You can scroll down the home page. I don't believe you can go to subpages. You can go to subpages, even inside this demo over here. You can see how the font pairings look all over. You can change the color schemes. Then when you're ready, you click on continue. You can skip this step, click on skip and continue, and then it will install that theme for you. And then your website is going to look just like it looked in that little preview there. It's going to take us back to the plugins now. But in that, or the themes, in that preview, it's going to look just like that. And then you can edit that to your heart's content. To edit those starter themes, if you chose Elementor as an option, use Elementor to edit them. If you chose the block editor, you use the block editor to edit those. And the block editor is just the WordPress editor. So if I go to pages over here, I have both Elementor style editing, style pages, and block editor. So let's open both of these. I'm going to hold Control and click on Edit for the block editor version and the Elementor version. So let's open in new tabs and we can see how they look. This is the block editor in WordPress. It's a visual editor. You can drag and drop things. You can move things around. You can put the headline up above if you want. You can change the text in here. Just click into it and start typing. There's lots of options for using the block editor. The Elementor editor is a little more polished. It's a lot cleaner. It's a lot easier to use. I should have actually, instead of clicking edit, we should have clicked edit with Elementor. We'll just skip that extra step. We'll take us right into the Elementor editor. Here's the Elementor editor, and there are tons of videos on YouTube and tutorials in Google, if you Google it, that show you how to use Elementor, how to use the WordPress block editor. So there's no excuse for any issues that arise because you can find a solution. I can guarantee it. On YouTube or in Google, you can find a solution to whatever problem you have. Then if we go back to our pages out here, there's something important I want to show you about plugins. So let's go to our plugins list. We saw this already, all the install plugins on the site. If we go to add new, we saw this a little bit when we looked up the starter templates, but I didn't mention it specifically. All the plugins inside the WordPress repository have this little information box at the bottom. It's something you're going to want to pay attention to because you want to make sure you're using plugins that have lots of stars, on lots of ratings, lots of active installs, updated recently, 4 months ago is pretty long, and you want it to be compatible with the current version of WordPress. For example, this one, updated 8 months ago, untested with the current version of WordPress, not max stars. 300,000 is not nothing, but it's not much compared to 10 million. And this plugin, for example, might break something because it's older. It's not tested with the newest code base of WordPress. So you always want to make sure you're paying attention to this little info card down here, just to make sure everything's tickety-boo. And even though we're using a starter template built with the block editor, and even if you're using one built with Elementor, you're still going to have options underneath appearance and then customize. These are also options for designing your site, but these mostly apply to the entire site in general. Whereas the pages we just saw, where we edited the home pages inside the block editor or inside Elementor, that's those specific pages. Whereas under Customize, we can edit the menu, the navigation menu that appears on every single page. We can edit the footer, if we can get down there. If we have it on the site, we do. We can edit the footer down here, and that's on every single page. So if we click on the pencil right here, for example, it gives us options to add a footer menu or take it off, add the socials or take it off. We see the socials right here, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Our footer menu, we have nothing selected, but we can click on configure menu from here. We could add, we have main navigation at the top. We could just copy that to the bottom. Put the main nav right there. It's going to update. It's going to show the main nav right there. That's the same nav as the top. Usually the footer nav is a little different, but for the sake of this video, that's just how you add menus to different areas. Click on this back arrow. It goes back, keeps going back until you stop clicking it. And then you can edit other things. If you want to edit the navigation menu at the top, click on the pencil. At the nav menu, primary menu is right here. Click on that. Click on configure menu from here. There's the menu again that we showed us a moment ago. Click on edit menu. You can edit the pages that are on there. If you want the home page to be at the end, just drag and drop it to the end. It's going to update, and there it is. If you want the home page to be at the beginning, but you want my account to be a submenu under shop, click and drag it. Wait till there's an indent. That indent makes it a submenu. Now there's a drop down. You can see very faintly it says my account right there. But when I hover over it, it goes away. So that color scheme needs some work, but that's a submenu. That's how easy it is to edit the menus. Edit whatever you can on this page. Usually it's not the content in the middle. It just shows all that for context. It's the stuff at the top and the stuff at the bottom that you change inside of the customizer. If you've made any changes, click on Publish to make sure those changes are saved. And then click on this X to exit the customizer. And that's really all the settings you need to worry about for WordPress. The settings we saw at the beginning, from clearing out the demo data through to the settings on the left, you do that one time. What we saw for plugins, you do that whenever you want to install a plugin. What we saw for themes, you do that whenever you're changing themes or changing your designs, as well as the customizer as well. You do that whenever needed. For your blog posts, if you have an active blog, you're going to be doing that a lot. So let's add a blog post so you can see how that works. Go to posts. We have one right here, how to run a marathon, or it's going to make a second one of that same name. Click on add new post to create a new post. Paste the title in here. You can start typing your post right here. This post starts out, if you want to know how to run a marathon, you're in the right place. Pretty good starting. So you can type your whole post manually. You can get it from ChatGPT if you want. Using the simple prompt, please write a blog post called How to Run a Marathon. It output this, basically a point form list. You have to refine your prompt to make it better and more usable out of the gate, or you can use this list as a starting point for the content that you write, which is what I recommend that you do. We can copy that. We can go back to our post, press enter, paste that right in there, and it's going to have everything with the headings. That's an H2, H2. This is bolded. It's got a bullet list. This one's an H3. This one's an H1. So it's all set up for SEO, ready to go. Let's call this Learn to Run a Marathon in 3 hours, something like that. So they're similar, but they're different for the title and the H1, because you don't want to be keyword spamming if How to Run a Marathon is a keyword. But SEO is a whole different topic, so we're not going to get into that really in this video. But we have a blog post here. You can now go in and type to your heart's content, make edits and changes however you want, or keep the ChatGPT output and just paste that in and publish it. I don't know how well it's going to go for your SEO. I recommend you start any AI output as a starting point and then add in your own flair and your own knowledge and everything. If you want to add different types of blocks, for example, an image. Let's add an image right here. Just hover down below till there's a plus icon, type in image, click on it. We can upload an image, we can use the media library images, or insert from a URL. I'm going to choose media library, and we'll pretend that this one is related to marathons. Maybe it's related to carbo loading before a big run. You can also add blocks by searching over here. Let's search for image again. And here we can drag and drop, put it wherever we want. Let's put it right there. There we go. And now we can add another image. We can also use patterns. Patterns are multiple blocks put together into one pattern block. So you have an image block and a title block and a quote block and what have you kind of block. And you can add that in by just dragging and dropping super easily. And you can build out a website really quickly by using these patterns. And there are a lot of patterns to choose from. And there's even third-party plugins that will add even more patterns. So you can build good-looking sites really quickly using the block editor. And then once you have your post finished, however you want it, you can click on publish or save draft for sure. Do that throughout your creation process. And then it'll be live on the website. All these blocks also have options. So this H3 block right here, on the right-hand side, we have post and block. Under block, we have all the options for this specific block right here. Post is the options for the entire post. Block is just this block that you have selected. Here's the image block. We can see here, image block, and all the options related to that. And different blocks will have different options. So always make sure if you want to make some changes to whatever block it is, check the block options on the right-hand side. If you want to publish this post in the future, click on immediately beside publish and choose any day or time in the future. And then this button will change to schedule, and you can schedule it. If you want to add an excerpt, let's copy this text right here. Click on add excerpt right there and paste in that text. And now this is the excerpt. And the excerpt appears in blog listings on your page or category pages where it has the title, maybe your featured image, and a quick bit of the post. It either takes the first paragraph of your post or it takes what you put into this excerpt box, which might be different. Depends how you want to run your site. And lastly, for good SEO, you want to make sure that your link is just the topic or keyword you want to rank for. Earlier in this video, we chose post name as our permalink structure. That's where this applies right here. So our post name is how to run a marathon, and the link is automatically created as how to run a marathon with dashes and no spaces. And for this post, that's what I want to rank for, how to run a marathon, and keywords and topics related to that. So that's why we choose post name. By default, WordPress used to just have a string of numbers as the URL, which is not good for SEO. Google takes cues from a lot of things, including the URL, which now has the topic we want to rank for baked right into it right here. So after all that, click on Save Changes to make sure your changes are saved, and then publish or schedule your post when you're ready to publish it. And if you've gone through this entire tutorial and you've understood and mastered what I show you, you are well on your way to using WordPress at a high level. If you have not mastered it yet, I encourage you to bookmark this tutorial and come back to it as you need to learn all the steps to manage a WordPress site properly. And then I encourage you to check out this video right up here, which is the 8 plugins that I install on every single website that I build or deliver to clients. Make sure you check out that video because it's really important stuff. And then if you like this video, click like and click subscribe to let me know, and I will see you in the next one.